guys introduce yourselves. Do you guys know each other? Some people, familiar faces?
Yeah, some of us.
No? Yes? So, okay, looks like quarter yes, three-quarter no. All right, well, guess what? When I do my scout training, I want each one of you guys to pass on an email and a phone number to 2 different people. Because this is not only information from me to you, but you guys are going to network. From now on, anytime you go into a clinic or class, whatnot, lean over, pick somebody out. We're here for the next 2.5 hours. Ask them for their email. Ask them what they just. I want you guys to hear. Oh, I'm a 3rd year. I'm a 12th year. I'm forever. I'm brand new. Get their phone number. Get their email, and then you guys can bounce things off. Okay, so that's extra information that you're picking up. Sound good? And please throw out comments, questions, because like I said, this is a two-way. All right, it helps me move things along, and it helps me be able to pick up where you guys are at. So it's great that it sounds like we only have really the 3 beginners, the 3 first years, right? Everybody else has got at least 2 or 3 years, so that's great. First thing off, we should always play the national anthem. Sorry, big believer in the red, white, and blue. Okay. Who knows when the first national anthem was played at a baseball game? Before. Yes, Pedro, excellent. It's a Boston Red Sox. Okay, 1918 World Series, baseball. Way to go. Okay, from that, because it was during the war, World War I, they decided, somebody just said, let's play the national anthem before the game, and it took off after that. So it became a tradition. All right. Guys having a good time? Thank you for coming out, by the way. You guys having a good time?
Just move over, please.
If it doesn't move out of you, how do you expect your players? Just a personal question. Okay, because it starts with you guys. Pass it on. Baseball is not only physical, mental, but it's a spiritual thing. Have you ever been out there on the God's green cathedral grass in the outfield and watched that little white sphere, or in softball, the big white sphere, just play up there and against the big blue sky? You see that athlete go cutting across, no matter what age they are, settle underneath it. Isn't that a thing of beauty, whether they catch it or not? I mean, that's beautiful, right? Whoa, all right, I need everybody to stand up. Okay, yell. I want loud. Yell. Go. Yell. You're the first one. You don't have to yell anymore. I want to hear yelling, guys. Inside, you guys, I'll be placating a little more too. All right. You guys can sit down. Okay, under the spiritualism, okay, baseball is the only sport in the good book. Did you guys know that? I'm not preaching out here or anything, but it is fact, okay? You gotta have passion and put fun in your game, okay? Baseball is full of facts, right? Like I just said. National anthem, Boston Red Sox, 1918. Has anybody heard the very first words? Raise your hand if you've heard this before. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Right there. Baseball. The beginning. Wicked. Wicked. Right? Jesus did Sermon on the Mount. Right? Right? When he was going through Galilee and all those places, he was hoofing around in sandals. He did Sermon on the Mount. All right? What position do you think Jesus would be on the baseball field? Pitcher. Which one? Starter? Or a reliever? Why?
I think you do everything.
I'm sorry?
I think you do everything.
But if he was everything, he'd be a starter, right? But no, reliever, in my opinion, he would be the best reliever in Mariano. Okay?
I think he'd be a
He
good
has
catcher
the most
too.
saves. Got it? All right, woke you guys up. Excellent. You guys are still sleeping. Okay. Physically, guys, what you want to do at the beginning of the season, okay, is have a starting point, especially the first year people. You don't know your players, even the veteran guys, you don't know your players, all right? Let them know what your expectations are, okay? Tell them up front, okay? Then, what you want to do is, you want to take one, pass it down. I want you guys to write down 2 things that you would like to see out of this clinic tonight, okay? So I gave you a wide post note, all right? So I'd like you to think of 2 things you want, and hopefully tonight we will answer them or give you an idea where to go for the answers, etc. Because the best thing to do is let me know what you guys need, okay? So write it down, we'll put it up here on the board, and because I've got my answers, I've got my questions, but I don't know what you guys have. So that's partly why I ask you guys what your experience and things like that. Sound good?
No, coach does. No, coach does.
Here you go.
Okay. One of the other great things about baseball / softball, besides facts, baseball's full of facts, right? You keep score, averages, ERAs, errors, how many innings pitched, etc., all those cool things. Baseball is also unlimited, okay? Unlimited potential. Remember I started by saying that this is the beginning of the season, okay? You and your players right now. Think of it as it's the beginning. Anything can happen from here to the end of the season, right? And I purposely left some space on the notes there, on your notepads. The info sheets that I gave you that you can write some notes on. It's unlimited. There's no outs, right? There's no maximum batting. You can go around 3 times, okay? The record is 3 runs scored in 1 inning. In 1953, the guy scored 3 times for the Boston Red Sox, as it turns out. This happened to be. But he's the only guy in the 21st century that scored 3 runs. There were 2 guys in the 1800s. I mean, again, facts. It's unlimited, okay? The potential of your players is unlimited. Ask them what they want. You'll be surprised. I'm going to be surprised at some of your questions. Oh, I never heard of that, or take of it. If I can't answer, I'll get back to you, okay? But it's unlimited. That's the great thing. It's not on a time clock. There's, except for the foul line, okay? And before the modern parks were built in the 1920s, there were no outfield fences. So the record is 3 inside the park home runs in 1 game, back in like 1883. All right? And the reason why it's unlimited is this point is on the back of the plate, and the foul lines then project out from there, right? It's unlimited, the foul line. Left field, all the way down, here's the starting point. Right field, unlimited. And of course, then we put a fence in. But again, that's one of the cool things about baseball. Unlimited potential every inning, every game, every season. So, and no 2 innings are the same, are they? You go out back to back and have completely great innings and a completely fizzled inning. And you're like, what the heck happened? You're the same player, right? So run with it. You new coaches, run with it. It's a fact. Kids get, especially the younger kids, they're still trying to feel out their bodies and everything. So don't be upset. Run with it. Say, hey, that's cool. Because guess what? If you think of today as a building block, again, it's unlimited. You're setting the brick today, especially tonight. You're putting 1 brick into your coaching to set up the kids this year, this week, next week, etc. All right? And they're going to, next year, to the next level. Freshman guys to the JV, varsity, etc. So you're coaching them for the future as well. Again, unlimited, where they will go. Okay? And then the end in fun, coach now. Keep them concentrated, keep them fun, keep things moving. I've got stations set up that you'll be going for the coaches that I had. Wayne, can you go down and just collect all the post notes from everybody? Or just pass them down if you want. Everybody fill out two expectations for tonight? Yeah. Excellent.
I don't even count.
We don't have to.
I don't even count. That's good.
Name your first name? Amy.
You can give them some. If you want to put text, hey, if you want to put text, this is what you want to learn.
All right. Are you guys familiar? I didn't bring a softball, so I can show you. My daughter's got one. Can you help her? What's your name? I'm sorry. Angie. Angie, great. Can you just take the string and tie it around? Not tie it, but just, we want to measure it. We want to. Anybody know the dimension of a baseball? Ring out if you know it. Christine, pass it around once you look at it. Okay, how many inches? Did you guys ever know that?
How many?
Did you guys know a baseball is 9 inches? Okay, measure a softball, so a little bit bigger, obviously, so 12 inches. Okay, throw that out to the kids. That's part of fun, knowledge, okay, learning stuff. Okay, don't take it for granted. You guys know what the width and length of the home plate is? Thank you. Yep. Exactly 17 wide and just under 17 in length. So it's literally a square. Did you guys know that? How many seams in a baseball?
Oh, killing me.
And again, I don't know softball. It's been a while since I played softball.
Yeah.
But that's your homework. Softball players, count the seams. Baseball players, how many seams in a baseball? Come on, you gotta know that we played baseball forever. Right, you never bothered when you're sitting there on TV in a hotel room and you're watching Saturday Night Live. I'm dating myself. Point, counterpoint. 11:30 at night, eating the pizza, running around. Point, counterpoint comes on. Jane Curtin and Dan Aykroyd. I know I'm talking over the tops of heads to you guys. That was one of the coolest Saturday night shows back in the 70s. But you sit there and say, okay, how many? You sit there and count. 108.
I said 100.
Yep. Well, some have 103. I've counted a couple of these baseball there. Some of them have 107. But traditionally, it's 108 seams. So if you watch a Little League baseball movie, okay, the first Mexican team, it was the first international team that went to the Little League World Series. In it, there's a scene that the boys, their priest followed him up, being their chaperone, but then he had to leave to go back because his visa was up. They kept winning. They didn't expect it to win. So his visa was up after a week. So they had to travel around the South. And one of the scenes in the movie is there was a Baptist priest behind the thing. So the Mexican coach, in halting English, said, can you come in and bless the team, say a prayer? He's like, okay, what would you like? He goes, Psalm 108. You can look it up. And the Baptist priest goes, why 108? He goes, that's how many seams in a baseball. So it's cool stuff like that, guys. So a little history, a little bit of fun, okay? Keep it unlimited. Keep the kids. Quiz the kids. Just don't, they show up to practice, the mundane, what do I do? Throw that out. Post it. Ask them. Don't tell them. Ask them how many seams. Post it on a piece of paper, tape it to the dugout. How big is the bat? How big is the rubber? How long is the rubber? Who's pitching? Who's never pitched here? How long is the rubber? I think softball's the same, but I don't know. How long is the width and the length?
I think it's like 4 inches.
What is it?
The width is like 4 inches.
4 inches it is, correct. 4 inches wide, so you put your foot on, it's 4 inches. Now, what's the length? Bingo, 22. Good job, Joel. All right, so technically, you've got 2.5 inches on either side of the 17-inch plate from the mound. So when your foot's on for you righties, you want to be on the first base side, you got 2.5 inches on the left side to play with your foot, and us lefties on the left side, third base side.
I threw it right on this side. I threw a lot of curveballs.
Yep.
So,
well, you'll tailor what you do, but average when I teach the kids, when they're little, you want a high success rate, righties from the first base side, lefties from the left. And we'll show later why. But it's a very easy technical reason. So, but once you throw curves, it totally changes the angle, the dynamics. So cool. All right. Great. Everybody cool with some fun-filled facts that you didn't know before? All right. Welcome, folks.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Let me introduce you. I'm Tom Nicholson.
I'm not going to handle
What coach and how long have you been coaching? What team level?
Two Rivers Middle School.
Middle school?
Softball,
Okay.
yep.
Great.
Second year. Carolyn Larson, Two Rivers softball.
Softball, how many years?
2 rounds.
So just, all right, so we got 4 starters then. Okay, cool. All right. Did the expectations, respect. All right. Keep it simple, guys. All right. Little things like I just showed you. Is your interest perked up by just knowing these couple little facts that you didn't know before? You're handling also. Have them measure the bat. A lot of these guys, they don't know with bat. Have them take the ruler out, take the string. Diameter, length, handle, grip. Just while they're sitting on the dugout, have some fun, right? Worst thing to do is, who's ever been bored on the bench? Or who's ever had players bored on the bench? There you go. Bring a ruler, right? Bring some string. Have at it, right? You can get crazy. You can get crazy on this. You wonder what we do in the dugout now that you girls are playing lots of softball and stuff? Baseball dugouts, if anybody's played above
Here you go.
middle school, what goes on in the dugout stays in the dugout. Long before Vegas stole from us,
Trying to get your as many baseballs. Trying to get as many baseballs.
that was our saying all these years.
You try to get your hand as many baseballs in your hand as you could.
Great. And I had a
How many
fifth one.
baseballs you can get in your hand?
Okay. Again, keep it fun. Keep it simple. Every year is different. As you know, players are different. Find out what they want. You know, tell them what, like I said, it goes back to expectations. Ask them what they want, and then give it to them. Because the best thing to do is, you know, if it's within your reach, play on it. I'm going to show you, like I said, some really cool stuff that'll really set their minds ablaze. Because just like measuring and stuff, opening up a whole new door of sports there for you. All right, let's take a quick little break. Did anybody bring their water? Because we're here for 2.5 hours. Hello.
What was the question?
We could keep going, Tom.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Go.
2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Right? We're blessed. 4-to-1 ratio. Help the kids understand that. You can learn 4 times more with your mouth closed. Right? Tell the kids. Say it in the way you want to say it, but we're coaches here. We can, you know, blab at each other. 4-to-1 ratio. Keep that in mind. Help the kids. If they're shooting their mouth off, they're not watching the other team. They're not helping their teammates out by not trying to steal or see what's progressing on the other team. What's a habit? What is it when this pitcher does something? You know something's coming down. He's consistent. You got to pick that up on the bench. Help your teammate. Hey, when he does this and you're up to the plate or you're on second base, relay the. But if you're not paying attention, you're shooting your mouth off. Your eyes and ears aren't working, helping the team. Capiche? Great. All right. And last but not least, 3 Musketeers, right? You're going to hear me. There's three types of players on every team, right? The veteran guys know. You got an A player, you got a B player, you got a C player, right? A player, unbelievable talent, it comes natural, he's instinctual, etc. But he could have a C heart. He's not participating, he's not helping his teammates out, then he's not an A player, okay? A B player gives you his average all the time, his expectation, he's trying, his heart's there, this and that. You're going to win a lot of games with a guy with B. He's trying, he's got his eyes open, he's working. Doesn't have super a lot of talent, but he makes up for it heart, and he's always helping his teammates. That's a good B player. And then a C player is somebody who's new, novice, learning, doesn't understand the options. Ground ball to him, man on first base, you're up by 5 runs. You don't turn around and try and throw the guy out third base. Get the out at first, right? He's got to learn that. She's got to learn that. Okay? Help him. That C player will probably have the heart of the lion. Okay? And they might win one of the games for you because they steal a base or they score or they stop the ball, they catch the ball in the outfield, whatever. Because they're contributing the best they can. All right? To me, that's an A player because his heart's in the game. Her heart's in the game, even though she doesn't have the A talent. So during the course of the game, the course of an inning, the course of a season, your A, B, C, kids are always fluctuating. Okay? Your job as coaches is to be able to bring that A player out all the time and have them help them be a leader to the C players, and the C players provide their heart and be able to push the A players, right? So that's really one of the keys, major keys to coaching. So if you can do that, one of the ways to do that is bring in fun. Have planning, okay? Set up your practices, okay? Veteran guys, my forever guys. What's the first thing you do when you set up a practice on your sheet? When you're set up. How do you break your practices down? Dwayne. Is it Dwayne or Dwayne? Sorry. Dwayne. You write them down? Yep, but I mean, do you have a system like consistent that, okay, practice on Monday, we're doing this, Tuesday this, game's Wednesday, all right, so I want to do this on Tuesday. All right. If you think in terms of 15-minute blocks, that's what I found best in basketball, soccer, etc. Now, some skill drills will be 5 minutes with the guys, but you don't want to do anything longer than 20 minutes, okay? Rule of thumb. Remember that boring word? 20 minutes, people are standing around. And you're only there for an hour and a half, right? Most practice are an hour and a half?
About 2 hours.
Okay. You're there for 2 hours. You can get a lot accomplished, right? If everybody, the pistons are firing, everybody's having fun. But for you new people, do it basically mentally, set it up in 15-minute increments. Running, fielding, etc. Sliding, drills, things like that. And then you can change once the season gets going. Okay, 5 minutes on that, 10 minutes on that. Okay, you can have a scrimmage, that'll be 30 minutes. But, right, am I right? To play with that. But basically, to help you out, 15 minutes. It's going to be on the quiz. Write down 15 minutes. Am I wrong? You veteran guys, is that what you guys set up? Because that's how it's helped, especially in basketball. Do your practice 15 minutes, you're doing rebounding, etc. And then, like I say, specialty things might be 5 minutes. But then they, especially the first practice, guys, it was just like today. I started right at 6 o'clock. You get there, you start at 6 o'clock. Nobody, if they come in late, they've got a reason, great. If they don't have a reason, great. It's their loss. Okay, if it's a negative reason, they'll learn, I got to show up, coach is starting on time. Don't wait for the stragglers, because then what you're doing is penalizing the guys that did show up. And they're there to work out, okay? Everybody cool with that? Not much feedback, guys. Any questions? Have you guys heard this before? Anything before? Is this all old? Is this old? No, it's new?
It's a refresher.
Okay. All right, great. Again, the spirit part of it. And then, like I said, at the beginning of the season, just do like I did. Well, where's the post notes? Oh, here they are. Somebody could break these down, kind of set them up. If you would just come up here and some of them put them in defense, pitching, you know, kind of, and then we'll knock them off as we go along. Because that's really, if I can answer a bunch of your expectations, you guys are going to walk away and say, that was a good clinic. Yes? All right. Everybody up? You can drop your pencils and pens. Do you need help? Yeah, we could like put it on. Oh, I was hoping they were right. Okay, all right. First station. Good, brought it back. All right, I want you guys to start thinking that your field is your playground. Every inch is something to do for everybody at the same time. And again, you're going to bring fun into this because the kids aren't going to be bored over there. All right. Sorry, 3 batters. Hands on. Yeah, edit that out. Awesome. All right. I'm huge. One of the things that helped me, you're going to hear me talk about it, isometrics. Anybody hear about isometrics? Anybody do isometrics? They're a little bit different than calisthenics.
You hold it.
What are isometrics?
You hold it.
Exactly.
She's
And
jumping.
why do you hold it?
Because it's endurance. It's more of an endurance thing than
Endurance,
strength.
that's the strength, yeah, but when you pull it out, there's those are symptoms of it. You're working 2 sets of muscles at the same time. Baseball players, first one to admit it, we're the laziest sports on earth. Remember I told you? We're out there in the green pasture, we're out there enjoying the sun, right? Baseball, football, you gotta tackle somebody. You gotta play it in the rain. Soccer, you gotta go out there and chase everybody up and down the field. While the ball's way down there, what's the other people doing? At the binoculars going, are they coming at me? Right? Or you gotta run all the way down and get them. Am I right? Soccer, who's the soccer people? Awesome. Soccer's great. Great endurance. Baseball, 90% of the time, raise your hand if you know this one. 90% of the time, we're just sitting around, enjoying the pasture setting, pastoral environment, and then 10%, this is why everybody can't play baseball, 10% explosion, right? You got to know what you're doing ahead of time, and the guys that come out, basically, if you're hitting, you're failing 70% of the time. If you're fielding, you're around 980 is a good defensive skill mark, so you're dropping 20 balls out of 1,000, okay? But you got to be ready. You got to know the options. If something falls down, somebody you got to back up, etc. So that explosion, 10% of the time, you got to have your muscles ready to go. So in hitting, I'm going to show you one of the hitting stations that you can have the guys do something against a pole in the dugout. Okay? Why don't you put the bat against it? Right or left? Left. Excellent. Why don't you just put your bat against the pole there, hit it against it, and there you go. Now press like you're going to swing. Press that way. Okay. Feel it right here. Okay. Feel it on the other side. Triceps, biceps. While the players are out there, you don't have to be swinging to develop your wrist. Feel your wrist. All right. The other guys, you can grab the other 2 bats. You can go up against the pole. Dugouts are made out of pole, right? Or the fence. Backstop. Isometrics. You're working multiple muscles. And going back to baseball players who are lazy, I put them in close. We love to do 2 things at the same time. So why not do 2 muscle groups at once, right? Instead of doing push-ups and those are the calisthenics, you only do 1 muscle group. Isometrics are excellent. Okay, and that's one of the skill groups. Who's got fences or netting on their field? Anybody got netting? Anybody got metal fences then? How is the fencing set up around your? Okay, good. So you can go behind. Does everybody else have some kind of backstop? Okay, so you can go with the tee. You guys follow this already? Who's hit the ball into the fence or the netting in the bullpen? All right, you guys can have 2 or 3 guys go down there and hit during practice. So while the main guys are on the field, take 2 or 3 guys. You guys just rotate them in. So everybody's running, right? Hit the ball into the tee. How about, have you done this, one-handed swings? Who's done one-handed, had their players one-hand swing? Why would you want to do one-hand swings? Yep, well, it developed the wrist, right? Okay, and then soft toss, all right? Soft toss, one player just gets on one knee, so take the tee out. You guys understand what soft toss is, the new coaches? All right, cool. Fences, wiffle balls. Everybody's got to get a hold of it. Everybody can get a hold of some wiffle balls, right? Right? How about the golf ball wiffle ball? Did you guys ever hit that? That is tough. And again, go out in the outfield. All right, remember I was telling you use the whole field. Go out in the outfield. A couple guys pitching. You're gonna have 2 or 3 batters with their baseball bats hitting a full wiffle ball or the golf ball. You only need half dozen balls. Okay, I'm gonna show you a lot of the stuff that I've got is recycled stuff. Obviously, you got to go out and buy the wiffle ball, but some of this equipment. But I try to scout me that's thrifty. Use stuff that's around the house. Ask the kids to do stuff. All right, I'm going to show you a couple other things that are really cool that you can use around the house that inexpensive. All right, so you got the hitting, isometrics. Get some fans. Oh, who's got an old mirror, full-length mirror? It's about 12, 15 inches wide, 2.5, 3 feet. You see that Marshalls, whatever, you can get them in a garage sale. They're really thin, so they stand off the ground. Duct tape the edges around it so they stay tight. They can grab it. You're going to bang around a little bit. Why would you want to use a mirror? Kid can see level swing, kind of pulling out, that mirror image itself. The more you can get the kids, and I'll show on the pitching side, the more you can get the kids to be self-thinking and understand what they did. Oh, that feels, and then whatever the results are, good or bad, they can make the adjustment. But a mirror, who can go to a garage sale, pick them up for 50 cents. You know, a full-length one that's cheapo, Marshall. Like I said, J.M. Fields on Front State New York. They would have $5. New. So, sound good? Sound like you guys can do that? You can just set it off, place it, and then when you store it, it's long cardboard, which I'll show you later. Just wedge it, tape it so you can store it the next day so it doesn't break. No 7-year bad luck. Cool. Pepper. You guys ever play pepper? Well, that's a big thing. Pepper? You guys, who doesn't know what pepper is? So pepper is what? Right. So basically you're overhand tossing, light about this far apart, and the guy's basically half bunting, half swing kind of thing. But it's again, hand-eye coordination and fielding. So again, you got multiple guys. So you can have the guys line up, 8 or 10 girls, or 3 or 4 in a line, and you can play different games. Okay? Usually when it's a line out, who does that? Line out, catch it in the air, you're out, and the guy at the end is the new hitter, so that way you rotate. Make an error, what happens?
Push-ups.
No, well, you do push-ups, okay. But worse than that, worse than push-ups. You got to go back to the end of the line. So, you know, this line, if she's next in line, and then she makes the error, she goes all the way down here, and she's got to work her way all the way back. So, again, concentration. Remember, 2 things for the price of 1. Maximize your result with minimal effort. So here's this little pepper game, but you don't get to hit if you can't field it. Okay? Where the smart guys go, they'll sit there and let it get by them. And they don't make an error, you know, it's by. So, say if it's, well, then what happens is the guys closest to, you figure out the batters, the judge, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, that was close to you, you're out. So, you know, once the guys get advanced, you can play that. So, because then the kids think, oh, I'm outsmarting the rules. Cool. So, sound good on that? Great. A couple of good ideas? Awesome. And the biggest thing on when you're doing regular BP, what's the one no-no you don't want to do in regular BP when well, a couple things. But what are one of the big no-nos in regular BP? When you're on the field, pitcher's on the mound, you're hitting and using the whole field. I'm sorry?
Don't let coach pitch all the time.
Yep, that's B. With A, which it's A1. And A is, don't let one kid get up there and take 25 swings if you can't, you know, because BP is fielding as well, guys, right? The veteran guys, BP will field. So you don't want to embarrass the kid, you know, let him tell everybody up front, 10 swings, 10 pitches, fouls are included in the beginning, fouls don't, but as the season progresses, fouls count, guys, that's a swing. And moving along, because again, remember I told you the time factor? You guys can sit down. Just need you guys. Notice how I put that, work that in. I want you guys to be bored. Worst thing you do is have them get bored, guys, especially the outfielders. All right, rotate them around. And like Christine said, I'm a huge believer. After the second week, managers, coaches, get off the mound. Your players have to develop pitching. They have to understand location. They got to understand their own bodies. Okay? So after the first week or two, you guys figure it out. Get off the mound and put your best pitchers out there. And again, 15, 20 throws. It's cold. It's April right now. Today was 60 degrees. It was very damp. Okay? 15, 20 throws. And then immediately, what's the one piece of equipment, especially for a pitcher, that's more important than his long sleeve or her long sleeve undershirt? Okay? That kid comes off the field, okay? I don't care if it's 80 degrees out, put a sweatshirt on. Because the kid just did all that work warming up. The kid just did all that work on the mound. And then he's going to go and sit there and get chilled, even though it's 85. I mean, I lived in Arizona, Florida. Okay, you can get chilled when it's 119 out. Okay? And then your muscles all cramped up. It doesn't hurt you today. Again, you're playing for tomorrow, the next week, let's start to cramp up. And you just undid what you just did. So think in terms of that. Tell the kids, all right?
You believe your pitchers throw with the jacket?
Pitches throw with the jacket.
Run with the jacket.
Run, yeah. You know, you know, if it's super cold out, yeah, I definitely run. You know, kind of open it up because you don't want them overheating. So when they stop running, so that's why you let them. But you know, for the most part, these kids are 15. You know, yeah. What's the average kid? Like 15 we're here, right? Some middle schoolers. All right, but once you're done running, put your jacket on, put your sweatshirt on. All right, do something cool on this side. Just get those things a little wet, you know, all totally wet. I mean, I don't want all the water in there. We're gonna do a little experiment. Actually, all right, I've got. This is a typical undershirt from the 50s, 60s, starting to be in the 70s. Cotton, long sleeve, you'd wear them. Okay, when I was about 15, I figured out, put a second one in my bag. Around the fourth inning, change out of the wet, super wet one, and put the dry one on. So the last 3 innings or so, I'm not carrying extra weight inside. Now, since the 90s, everybody know what TechWick is, or a Wickable Under Armour like Joel's got? Huge difference. So basically this is a test you guys already know, or just about, no, we're gonna ring it, we're just gonna ring it dry. So, all right, so we're gonna see that later. So just get them all wet, and then we'll ring them and hang them. Think about it. It goes back to who was saying over here, sweatshirt running. Dave? Is it Dave? Mike, sorry. Mike was saying, again, kind of cool off. You know, if you play it by ear, run with a jack more. She's got to cool off. Let's figure that in. So it's based on the kids, you know, is it how long into the season? Is it the end of the season? Kids get, you know, pretty much warm. Beginning of the season, I take the jacket off, let them run, and put it back on. Is it too light? You know, a rain jacket in the middle of the summer is fine because it's lightweight, especially now that it's super. Let the air out. But stay cool. Have your players stay cool. Okay. I got rid of all my Scout cotton printed shirts. It's you know, I got probably 25 of them. They're all great brand. Now I only wear Wickable undershirts. It's unbelievable how dry you are when you wear them, no matter how warm it is. My son's, like I said, a catcher, and when he was in Little League, I put it on, and with the tools of ignorance, he was sopping wet, you know, every other inning. But the next inning, I'd say, TJ, you need to change. And I looked, he was totally dry. So inning by inning, you know, once he sits, he runs around, gets sweat, dry off. It really does wick, especially with the uniforms themselves that are breathing. So explain to the kids. Obviously, it's a little more expensive, but you can go to these, go to the outlets and the stores at the discount, and relax. You can pick up a couple shirts for $8. Long sleeve, Wickable. EMS has them, REI, Cabela's. So it really does work. Who wears them on themselves? I know Joe's got it. Great. Am I correct? A dry yard? It's unbelievable. Especially with the shorts and stuff. You know, I'm a scout, so we go canoeing. You wear the shorts. You got, you know, sopping wet. It's freezing cold. And then you come out 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, you're dry. You know, after the initial shock. So go to Canada, Alaska, Africa, and South America. Cool. All right. Any questions? I'm doing all the talking. You know, I'm trying to draw you guys out. Surely you have a question. Surely. No? Okay. Wow. Throwing you guys up with a sponge. Awesome. You guys having a good time? Cool. All right. You guys don't have a question at this point? No? Okay. Cool. Great. All right. One of the things you can do for the guys on the bench, have them, I asked one, coach on the first base, should have a clicker. Whoever's on the first base there, help out. And then somebody on the bench should have a clicker. Keep track. Guys on the bench, what's the count? How many outs? After about the third, fourth game of the season, again, my expectations, I would tell the boys, don't ask the coaches anymore after the third game. Don't ask the coaches what the outs are and what the score is. You can ask the scorekeeper, you can ask your teammates. Why do you think I do that? No, I'm a meanie. No, they got to pay attention. It's peer, positive peer pressure, right? The best thing to do. You know, there's 2 or 3 kids that, you know, you get caught once in a while for talking to your head, but what's the outcome? Because they might be going in the next play or whatnot. They go running for a pinch runner and they don't know what the outs are. They get picked off. Yes, sir.
When I was a player, I also rotated every inning in the scorebook.
Excellent. Excellent. You guys do that? Have the players keep the scorebook? Excellent. All right. Is that something you, first year coaches, do you guys know how to keep the scorebook? Have you been shown? Yes, yes, yes. Amy? All right. You need help. What should Amy do? Yes. I'll say yes and yes, but what else could she do? Get their email, get their phone, and they can help you out. Ask the other coach. You guys get a chance to talk to the other coaches before or after the game? Hey, so you know what? I saw this thing on TV, or we had this play against us. You know, the umpire did. You know, he told us that. I know it's bogus, whatever. They'll say, no, that was a little change, whatever. Again, you're networking with the other coaches. Okay. And don't be ashamed to say, oh, I didn't know that was the play or the call. You veteran coaches. What's this? Excellent. You guys keep this on the bench? You know, keep it in the bag and pull it out? Oh, wealth of information. Facts. Get the kids to be reading it. Something you should always be flipping and read it out loud. Okay? Who likes to read? Okay. Half. Great. Wealth of knowledge that you pick up. Okay? And if the kids are reading, even if it's that one play in the middle of the season that 4 games ago somebody said, oh, with the count, blah, 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 the kids might remember it, and they're on the base pad and they do it the right way. And the other team didn't know that's the rule. Has anybody done that before? When you're on the field, you do it right, and the other team starts coming out, the coach is all over the place, and this and that, and you're sitting there going back. That's the rule.
I think this is a little too broad of a question, but maybe you'll have something specific to tell me. We have kids at all different levels, like you said. A lot of C's, maybe a couple of B's, and maybe 1 or 2 A's. So what we're finding right now is we're teaching some basic things, and we'll run into, like today, infield fly. We don't even want to go there yet to try to explain that because we're just trying to get them to understand the difference between a force and not a force.
Right.
So maybe what's the most important thing to get your brand, I'd say D play, like I don't watch baseball.
Okay. Let's start on the fielder side, because there's always 2 sides to the play, offense, defense. So let's go on the defense, because she just was taking it from that angle. Defense. What should she do? What teaching her players on the infield, as infielders? What should she be telling her players?
We try to always make the safest out.
Bingo. To get the out, get one out. Every play, just get one out. You're learning. The kids are learning the basic. What's the best thing that happens in a game, especially for your pitchers, is now it drives the pitch count up when it's an error hit, wild pitch hit. Okay, get the out. Easiest. The ball's at second base. Step on the base. Drop it, but step on the base. Get the force out. Don't worry about trying to get a double, triple play. Okay, whatever's easy. But where does it starting before the ball goes up in the air? And who should be helping them get ready? Nope. Players. And who's the major player that's in the middle of them all? Pitcher. Yeah, well, no, catcher squat, so they can't hear the catcher. He's got the pitcher. All right, we'll go over this in the pitcher. Help herself. You turn around and you say every other pitch, because you're brand new, so I would say every other pitch. One out, man on first, plays to second base if it's in the ground, right? Otherwise, first base. Say that. That's how you say it. Get the kids to start, and that pitcher will then relay. Outfielders, hit the cutoff. Don't try and throw them out at third at home. Am I right, veterans? You're not going to throw the guy out at third at the basic level if they're all new. Throw the ball into second base, keep it first to third. Now you got to force out. So that's how you can start. Don't worry about the infield fly till maybe the end of the season. Because if it happens in the game, guess what? It's going to happen. But 9 times out of 10 guys at this level, are they going to be successfully understanding and executing a fly, infield fly at what level are you at? JV?
Yeah.
JV. All right. What's the chances of an infield fly with beginners? JV level. Give me a percentage of pulling it off correctly. Veterans, got a veteran. 20%, 25%, because everybody's hesitating. It's usually not a super high, it's that in between. So even with a veteran, just go for the out. Catch the ball or throw it to first. Drop, throw it to first.
You don't have to throw a pitcher. You have to throw a catcher. I've seen the catcher step out on the whole plate and give direction to it.
Oh, absolutely. But once the play is there, the catcher comes out and has that split second. But it's a combination. It really starts with the pitcher helping everybody. Catcher squats. Now he's yelling at the plate because he's got everybody in front of him. So yes, the catcher's the general on the field.
No, I'm just saying, like when the pitcher gets back across the country, now the pitcher doesn't know what's going on.
Okay, so
You
yeah,
might have
now
that
it's
catcher.
personnel.
Now you have that pitcher get ready. You might have that catcher step out before
Right.
everything
You
and say,
want
"Hey,
him to step up.
this is what's happening."
He's the veteran,
You know,
or she.
Right. This,
Yeah.
So he doesn't know what's happening.
Yep. But on apples to apples, pitcher, and then like Mike was saying, the catcher. Okay, step it up. But I wouldn't worry about infield fly until later in the season, because they got to understand it's a regular fly. Now offense, flip this around, guys. In that same play, what should she be telling her players on defense? What should you, if you're caught on the offensive side, what should she be saying?
That's where it's hard. You gotta teach the hitter to run, but then the other one to kind of be smart.
Well, the runner's always got to go down first, and once they cross the plate, they're safe at first. Okay. Well, what do you tell? What should she be telling her runners that are novice? They have to go. They have to judge it. If it's to the pitcher, you're only going a couple steps. If it's to the shortstop, third base, you got to go about 3/4. Again, it's a judgment. You might be the slowest kid on the field. Guess what? You're going to get thrown out in the slowest kid.
It's hard though. Kids like the never wait for you're teaching them on top fly, when you get to the gas and you cash, and then you tell them, wait, there's a couple of situations where you don't. It's hard. Yeah, right.
This is your best friend. Who can hit a fungo? Who's good? Wait, are you good with a fungo bat? You can pop flies to the infield, catcher? Awesome. The average batter, the average coach is, it takes a little while to understand how to hit a fungo. And you're not going to be able to get it right away. Get an old metal. Yeah. Okay, so you can put that ball 90% of the time in the infield where you want it. So you can start teaching the pop-ups to the infield. You can hit it between short and third. Okay, you can hit it between the pitcher just over his head. This will help you control it. You can whack a ground ball. again, if it's a baseball, it's got to be a softball lighter. So, and it's old, you know, just get another one. You know, this was original, so this was $100 back in the 70s. Now it's worth 10 cents in the garage sale. But get another 10 cent one. You know, you're going to go through this, so guess what? With better, you can hit 100 of these in the infield. And you don't have to take a lot of energy, etc. So you can practice the pop-ups. Guys, what's the hardest thing is to hit fly balls to the catcher, right? Right? So all you got to do is stand on home plate, boom, let them fly. So now the catcher, the pitcher, the wind, again, all that element on the infield fly, regular pop-up, etc. Cool. Yes? Again, not a big cost factor, right? Awesome. All right. You guys need a break? Bathroom break? Anybody? Right along. All right. All right, running stations. Wayne, what's your favorite running, one of your favorite running skill drills to do with the boys?
For the pitcher, pitching to the catcher when having somebody at first base and practicing their secondary leads, and then gotta make a decision on whether or not to steal the base or looking for those keys and stuff like that.
So pitcher throws to the catcher, taking a lead.
So you're getting the catcher involved, you're getting the pitcher involved.
Yep.
You got to get
Outfielders got to back up.
for backup.
And I would tell the catcher purposely throw the ball over the second baseman's head. Mix it up. He's got a strong arm. She's got a strong arm. You're standing right by the catcher most of the time, right? Throw the next one over the catcher, the second baseman's head. Get them. That way they're not, bored in the outfield. So excellent. Anybody else got a skill drill on running? Veterans? A little bit louder so we can hear you. Understand? Pick up the coach.
And then if they come third, I'll tell them round or combat or snap.
Yes, Dave. They can't hear you.
Tom, can you just repeat what they say?
I can.
Can you repeat what they say?
Oh, good. Yeah, well, that's why I'm talking louder. Sorry, go ahead.
Alright, so I'll have one guy lay down on the ground, chest, one person standing up and checking back, and that person that's standing up reacts to that person laying down. The person laying down has to stand up and run away.
Are they on the base path or in the outfield, or where's the position? Good, all right, so they can be anywhere, foul line, that's where I'm going with it. I was hoping, you don't have to run, I'm trying to get you out of the paradox, or the paradigm of just running the bases, or run the outfield. The whole field is your playground, okay? Did you guys hear what Dave was saying? One player's laying on the ground, face down, the other player's got the ball.
No, just like 10 feet behind him. And that person reacts to the person laying down.
So he's trying to get away from him, he's getting being tagged.
Essentially chasing with their sprint going all
So the guys on the ground's got to catch the guy standing up?
No, the person on the ground running the play.
Okay, so the stand-up. All right, he's just got to tag, right? Whereas in dodgeball, we get him with the baseball. Yes, sir.
I know when I was a player, I used to just love Indian sprints. I don't know if you're allowed to
Yep.
call them now, but I used to, because it was a team thing. So it was like you had your slowest girl, still had to make sure she got to the front of the line, and cheer her on, or park up the girl who wasn't running fast enough, and make this all do again. So I just think the team aspect of it.
So do you start first, third, second, and home?
No, we would run around school. We didn't do that.
Okay, that's where I'm going with that. Guys, you can do it. You can start on the left field foul line, right field. They got to run the whole. Now, don't do it right away because you're going to kill them. But as you build up the stamina, start at first, third, second, home, and they got to catch each other, beat, the team, relay race, etc. But then change that. Go in the outfield. Start, and they got to run the whole warning track or wherever the fence is. okay? And then go backwards, go clockwise. Because everybody goes counterclockwise, because that's the way the baseball is. Go clockwise, change it up. I take some flour, go in the outfield grass or the foul line area, draw some serpentining lines, okay? The kids have to run backwards, build up their quads, okay? Build up their hip flexors, right? And make it, they gotta run along the line. Or they gotta run side by side, one on the left side, so, and then take a rake and you just brush it up. Now if it rains, it's clogged up a little bit. But that's all right, they mow it within a couple days. Put simple flour. You know, $2, a bag will last you half a season, you know, or almost a whole season, because you're not doing it all practice. But go in the outfield, okay, zigzag, you know, or put dots, you know, bases, positions, tag, right? Use the whole field, A to B to C to D. You got 9, 10, 12 players, and you're just running. And then you got to turn around and go back. Or you run the whole field, or outside the field. Who's got, are there stairs? I know Simsbury, we've got the football field, the stands. But it's kind of a long ways from the softball field. But you guys have access to steps? You guys have access to seating like this, the stands? That's what I'm saying. I mean, near the field so that you can break it. Okay. Guess what? Get a cinder block. A couple cinder blocks. Ask construction guys in town, hey, now coach, whatever, can I have 3 cinder blocks? Do step-ups. Put the cinder blocks by the backstop, and the kids just do step-ups. Build those quads. Then next year, ask for 3 more. Now you got a couple more. Okay? You can move the blocks around, hide them, whatnot, but they're kind of incognito. But anything to give them a little different. Using my tomato steaks, but in the cavalry, we take our horses, cavalettis. Does this look familiar to football players? It's kind of a, you can use your bats, okay? The guys change the distance, and they gotta basically hurdles. So you can change that, they have to run over 2-step, 1-step, gotta pick up their feet, go backwards, they gotta go karaoke. So within a 15-foot, you can go left field, have 1 running station. Right field, have the flower. Outfield, you could have sprints. You guys know what we grew up calling it fartlegging?
Yeah.
Which was the Indian sprint.
Like
Yep. So, are you guys familiar, who's not familiar with fartlegging or Indian sprints? Who's not familiar with it? Everybody knows Indian sprint? Don't be afraid to raise your hand.
Indian spring is a form of farming.
Okay, so we move on. Great. But cool ideas, use your bats. You know, do 4 or 5 bats initially, and then if everybody's got bat, you run out, you do the whole length from home to first on the foul side. Then you can go from left field, right field line out to center field, and you adjust the, so you got to put 2 steps in between. Change up. The kids are always looking for something different. That's what.
It's not well. Basketball.
Yep. Yep. That's cool. Yep. Great. Oh, that's excellent. Anybody else have a running drill?
I do a thing with the outfielders where I'll stand in the middle, I'll put one out maybe like 50 feet in front of me. They'll sprint to me after I've thrown them a ball with their glove. They sprint to me, they like lightly hand it to me, and then they sprint out right past me, they don't really stop. And then at that point, I'll just turn around and throw it over their shoulder. It teaches them to kind of, but they're running too.
Outfield drill. So they're, again, I love it. Maximum effort with minimum, maximum reward with minimum effort. So you're doing 2 things at once. They're running and learning to over the head catch. Softball, it's a great outfield, infield drill. Right? The infielders have got to go back for that pop up to the outfield. Cool. Sound good? Learning? Cool. All right. guys do a thing called spider crawls? Basically, it's the crab walk, spider, we call it spider crawls. Again, works the triceps and the calves at the back. And again, you can start on the foul lines and just do it. And again, you can set 2 bats and go between the bats, relay race, etc. And then eventually start them in the outfield, go from the foul line to the outfield.
We got one other one to show you too, similar to that.
Okay.
Although we get some girls that will, how much body strength they have. Have you ever done slow crawls?
Yeah.
Same thing. We had a day where we were inside and we didn't have to go outside, so we had to do all these different weird races in the hall.
Changing it up.
It's a good way to exercise.
Yeah, and you know what? The kids remember that stuff years later, you know, because it's fun. Right? And you as a coach have fun, right? Because you're coming up and watching them, they're goofing on, you know, initially, and it's like, okay, hey guys, let's get it down, let's work on it.
It's funny because it works. The kids don't even know.
Well, then we made
Well,
a
that's
race,
it.
yeah.
Right, you know, and then set up, okay, I got little strawberry stick things, the liquor sticks. Say, okay, the first team that wins, I got these strawberry sticks, you know, what's the liquor stick? Twizzlers, thank you. Yeah, goofy, simple little things, you know. Or you get one less sprint, you know, if you're the winner of one of the skill drills. So, you know, you play it by ear once they get, you know, building on various things, and then you stretch it out for them. Cool, good. Just take a beach ball, jump over that. Instead of the cinder blocks, who's got a big beach ball? You know, or small, we'll start with small for the kids. But a big beach ball, I forgot to bring mine. But basically they got to hop over left side, right side. Again, hip flexor muscles, pitchers need that. So when they're turning, twisted, the torque. Outfielders need it, third basemen need it, shortstops, they got a blast. So that's a great jumping over. You know, you guys understand what I'm talking about? That. So, but you got to go over height. So start with a small ball, beach ball. Okay, sliding. You guys teach sliding to the boys? How?
Let's let it out there, pop up in a second.
Okay. And how do you
have them lay down in the right, I think of the regular line, have them lay down first, just practice in position like this, and then popping up before actually doing the full slide.
Excellent. Like you're saying, go in the outfield, have everybody lay down. Okay? Right or left foot, depending on which legs. Most people slide with the right foot extended. Okay? And then hands up. Why do you think they need to have their hands up? Wrist. When they put the one wrist down, you have a tendency not only to break the wrist or strain it, you come down and big time, and then you get one on your knee because you have a tendency that hands down. That's the way it's like skiing. Okay, the rest of the body's going to go where your upper body is. So initially, have them lay in the grass. They're all just like this, you know, seated, in a upright position with your legs straight across, looking like a number 4. Maybe you're looking at me like, so you're picturing it? Right. All right. That's the sliding position. Okay, and they slide into the base. Okay, they want to be about 4 feet as they start their slide. And Ricky Henderson taught stay low like a jetliner. That's how he figured out. He barely got hurt once he figured out. Come in low and slide hard. And less raspberries and obviously less impact. So if you can teach the low part, but just basically you come in about 4 feet and have the kids take their shoes off, okay, when they're out in the outfield grass, go to an appliance store, go into their recycling box area, okay, their compactors. Why would you want to do that? Because appliances are about this big, right? So you can get 4 pieces of cardboard out of a refrigerator, okay, or a washing machine. Cut it in 4 long pieces down the corners, okay? Now when you have the base here, you put the cardboard in the outfield grass. They got their bare feet so the kids can't stick when they're practicing. Okay? Do it on a dry day, like you say. And they got the cardboard, and you can do it without the base initially. You just have the kids practice. And they got to run, hit the cardboard, and the cardboard basically allows them to minimize the strawberries and the impact, because you're gonna have a tendency to roll one side or the other, okay? But the cardboard, go to your appliance place and say, before you compact, on your next big order, can you give me a call? We need, 3 or 4 of your boxes, can I have them before you crush them? They're gonna say, yeah, come on down, okay? And then grab them and bring them to the outfield. And again, remember I was talking about that mirror? Remember 2 for 1? Now, there's your storage cardboard for the mirror at the end of practice. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Cool. Now, you guys are geniuses. And how much does that cost? So far, we're up to, with the mirror and the cardboard, if you go to, about 10 cents if you go to the garage sale. I'm guessing 10 cents, maybe a whole quarter for a grandma's old mirror, college kid, ask the big, the kids. Mine's a freshman at Williams right now. But yeah, so cardboard. So get them used to sliding on the cardboard, buttocks, both buttocks down, both hands up, and they hit square, okay? It's high school now, you can't, at high school you can do you can only do head first back to a base. I think that was 2 years ago they made the rule. Terrible rule. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. So it's always feet first, guys. I grew up and could do head first. My chest was my strongest muscle besides my legs. But I was always head first. I always felt it was clean. Plus I could slide around, get away from the tag versus, my little legs. I was only this far from the stage, but my arms were a lot more. So cool. Appliance boxes? Yeah, it's great. The kids have a ball. Just pull it out once or twice, until they get it down. The kid that's still kind of fumbling, then you go into the dirt, the infield with spikes on it. Okay? Because they will twist they'll hook their heel into the sand. And purposely stand right here about 4 feet so they know, because if they go in too hard, too high, too late, they wreck their ankles into the base. So you literally have a player or a coach stand right here and say, okay, here's your point. So they hit the end of the box and they've got 3 or 4 feet and they come off it. There you go.
Probably good to start with when you're moving the bases rather than.
Well, don't even, the first 2 times, don't do it, but once you put the base in, put the cardboard right about here so they're sliding from here to here. They hit the cardboard and they slide right through, because by then it's just dirt. Their feet are already in position. They don't have to worry about the raspberries in their hands. So, and they can work. They'll see it. Have the guys, the veteran guys, do you have them hold batting gloves when they initially? That also helps them initially. Give them batting gloves when they're in the outfield. When you're doing it, that also helps them keep, because they're going to have a tendency like, oh, I'm going to help myself slide. And then they got, coach. So cool. So good ideas? Yes. I love good ideas. You guys love good ideas? All right. All right. Throwing stations. All right. One of my favorites here. Fun drills. Have we answered a couple fun drills so far? So I'm going to go through them. Yes? Please help me.
Yes.
Yes? And ring out if there's something else, which there will be. Okay, so I love it. Proper techniques. I hate getting older. Don't get old, guys. I refuse to get old, but I will get older. Okay, proper techniques for fast pitching. All right, is that a softball question? Okay, our softball coach will be coming in for that one. How many pitchers should you have on your team? Excellent question. Veterans, how many guys on your team, if you have 15 guys on your team, softball or baseball, how many should be pitchers?
I teach all of them.
Bingo. It's not a trick question. All of them. Every one of them. And do you know why? Why is the reason you have all of them?
There's no such thing as doing it.
Exactly. Everybody can get on the mound and throw. There will be a game when you get routed, okay? Or you're doing the routing and you don't want to send your top 2 or 3 pitchers out there. And you know what? The left fielder hasn't pitched. Well, guess what? That's not fair to her or him to go out there, correct? So during, and we'll do this on the pitching side, but I can catch the softballs. Everyone should go through, and again, pitching should be 5 to 10 minutes in the bullpen. While everybody's doing hitting stations, fielding there, you should take a catcher and send 2 guys or gals down. When I say guys, I mean girls, so gals, forgive me. They should go down to the bullpen. They should be feeding. Okay. Plus, somebody should be also learning how to warm up the catch. Okay. God bless the catchers. Joel. All right. It's one position. I figured the trick. God bless him. So I'd only buy him Coke before I was 18, and then I'd buy him beers afterwards. My catchers live in the dirt. Curveballs, change-ups, and pitches in the dirt for my out pitches. But everybody, because A, it builds confidence, and B, when that one game that you need them, everybody's not going to, Joe's in there, even if it's unconsciously, in there. Oh, gosh. But if she's in there and she's thrown a couple of times in the bullpen and she's kind of figured it out, as long as she's got the mechanics. So, and you're giving, and guess what? What did I say at the beginning? You're teaching them now the fundamentals, but the future's unlimited. So don't hold them back. Let them pitch. Let them throw in the bullpen. They may not get the whole season, but they're out there, they're moving around, okay? That's good. So excellent question. So we'll do the fast pitching. How to build endurance on your arm. We're going to do that on the pitching side, but on the softballers, it's very similar. One of the techniques that I've used, like I said, with isometrics, but also similar to fartlegging. When I warm up throwing, eventually at the beginning of the season, you start in the middle, in the outfield, you're in the middle between third and second base, and then you're eventually every 2 or 3 throws, the guy's on the foul line, you're backing up 2 or 3 throws, 2 or 3 throws. By mid-season, you should be throwing from the outfield, center field, either base, to the guy on the foul line. The average person doesn't have to be accurate, okay, but the arm should be stretched out mid-season that they're throwing over 100 feet. Okay, baseball's, well, high school is 90 feet. So raise your hand if you're high school. So softball's 60 feet, right? Okay, so softball, you're throwing about 100, 120 feet from center field to the foul line. Baseball, you're throwing about 140 feet from middle of center, not the foul, out by the track, warning track. But by mid-season, those guys should be warming up. I cringe when I look at our players, even on the other team, because I know you are not helping your player out if it's mid-season or later, and they're still throwing. There's third base, there's second base, and they're still warming up 35, 40 feet, 60 feet. Okay, and it's May. Okay, it's a month into the season. Now, if their arms are totally different, but they should be throwing past the base in the outfield on the line. Okay, so are you? Everybody see what I'm saying here? Okay, so you're on the foul line. Baseball, that's 60 feet, Little League, 90 feet, baseball. So if you're out, so initially, when you first get to the practice, you start in the middle, a couple throws, 2 or 3 throws, take 3 steps back. 2 or 3 throws, takes 3 steps. Now you're even with the bag, so you're at 60 feet for your softball, Little League, 90 feet for high school. A couple steps, by the 20th to 25th throw, you should be out here in center field. Now, I don't have it set up, but if this foul line is proper, you should be well past second base where a center fielder is normally standing. That should be your throw. And get back to the fartlegging of throwing. It should be a hard throw, a couple hard throws, and then a couple what we call rainbow throws. Okay, so if you're starting initially, all right, start a couple of those soft tosses, slow, medium arc, soft toss, and once you get to the second base, now you mix it up. And the catcher, whoever's doing the catching, you're going to hear me say in baseball, what does a realtor say when they're selling houses? What's the one word they say 3 times? Location, location, location. Guess what pitcher's best friend is? Obviously speed's the ultimate friend, but double play is the best friend, but their good friend is location. Okay? And how you develop that in softball, baseball, is when I'm throwing my bait, I never give them the same target when we're warming up. Even on a short throw, as they're going back. It should always, because on the baseball side, we're men, we're hunters, we're ocular sighting, right? When we lock in, we're hunting, right? That's why our eyes are in front of us. We're not vegetarian. We're not on the side. Okay, we're not predator carnivores. Right? So we see target. So if you practice targeting consciously in practice, when you're on the mound and I do that, your catcher does high and outside. What's your body going to be doing? About mid-season. Pretty close to that target as they move it around. So you're not thinking, you're taking the process out. So minimal effort, maximum result. So while you're warming up, you're doing two things. You're stretching your muscles, but you're also getting your eye-hand coordination. Okay? And nice arc. And you'd be surprised. You can arc it from out in center field and move it to the left, right, once they get going. So cool. Did I answer that? Technique. That's why we're warming up for endurance. Because that will build up. That's one of the reasons why I was able to throw without never having injury to my never had surgery on my shoulder, elbows, on that. All right, cadet softball regulation on that. So I'll leave that to our coach on the softball. How to make my players not afraid of the ball. Excellent question. Both softball, baseball. What do you guys, any suggestions on what you guys have? Pardon me? Throw a ball at it? Yes, thank you. Got here, coach? Okay, Chitio kid, you got my card, right? So yes, throw at him. Not hard, okay? But throw a couple at him. Throw a couple at him. 50% speed. So they just know what it feels like, oh, all right. And then when they really do get hit, But pitch inside, best thing to do, 4 or 5 inside pitches, okay? Again, this is where the coach can help out because you got a little better arm, you know? Throw, and you don't have to throw from the mound about halfway. Just have the screen in front of you and just throw. But get him the leg a couple times. You're not going to hurt him. 50% speed, you're not going to. Ooh, excellent. Excellent. Who's had players afraid of catching fly balls? What'd you do? What'd you do, coach?
We used the soccer once in a while.
Okay. Build the confidence up. Great. Mike? Wiffle balls. Excellent. Get that high hand coordination. Excellent. Excellent. Just hit medium fly balls to them. So that they, the ball's not going. You have control of the height and where, so they don't have to take a couple steps, right? It's baby steps initially, and then they can. So once they get to, oh, all right, it's not going to hurt me either, because it really could be. Honest to goodness, guys, I had a player, and I jokingly said, there was my second year with him, literally, and I jokingly said to the dad across the fence, I said, "Did you have Johnny's eyes checked?" Because I know in school they always have, eye tests. And he goes, yeah, this and that. A week later, Johnny's got glasses. Apparently, he must have been able to fool a nurse or something. But when he had an eye test, apparently, or some eye test in school, he needed glasses. He's like, "Coach, we never even thought of that. I think I can start hitting the ball." So he was afraid because he thought it was coming right at him. So as something as crazy as that was thrown out, eye test maybe, But having this, the other thing is, have them run like this. See my shoulders? Not this. Because your head, right? That's part of them not being able to see the ball. If they're doing this and you see their shoulders going up and down, no, they got to glide. Okay? So they got to learn to get the footwork. Right? All right? So they just got to get their footwork done. And again, the Cavalettis, they have to clean. Go over. You can see them if they're going up and down on Cavaletti without a ball. Then you can say, no, glide over. Learn to keep your shoulders flat. Just, flatten it out. Cool. So yes, answered that one. How to control a game if we are losing? Gut it out. This is where pride comes in. Working with the now part of it. Okay? Use it as a training, right? Coach, back me up if I'm going to say something different. Say, guys, this is where your fortitude comes in, and going back to the basics. All right? Just catch the ball, throw the ball, hit the ball. Coach?
I was told to break it down into just that one moment. So if you're at that, scoring has nothing to do with what's happening. Balls come in, 20 nothing, lead away, balls come in, hit the ball. If you're fielding it, the same thing. It's coming at you, just pick one play at a time, don't worry about the score, just make all the same thing, you're way behind, you know, you're out, just don't make it out. Just don't make it out, don't worry about knocking in runs, just get out there, get out there, get out there. And if you keep that in the moment, then they're gonna be good.
Like this. Exactly. And not only you're coaching for tomorrow after you get the now down, say, listen, guys, the Brooklyn Dodgers had a great saying, wait till next year. Because they kept losing to the Yankees in the World Series. Wouldn't tell you what? Oh, really? No, because you need to make your outs proper, right? You're going to throw to a different base if you have a 5. Well, that's to a certain extent, I agree, but you can't, right, you might be extending the inning if you throw the wrong base. Because you can't always just throw first base either, because you got the out at second, go for the force out at second. The guy at first. Again, that goes with judgment. Yeah. All right. How are we doing on us answering your questions? Fun, helpful drills, I think we're doing that, yes. Effective hitting tips, I kind of was okay on that. I admit. Yes? They help with a couple of on the hitting side, just have the kids, for you coaches, have the kids stay balanced, okay? If they're leaning forward, one of the things I always say is, if they're right-handed, and after they swing, reach down and hit their thigh. Why would I do that? Why would they want to check their what? Right. Because this will tense up, which means they're leaning. Okay, they're not balanced. They're leaning into the ball, there's no power. Okay, same thing too, if they're too much on the back, all right? So you want to be balanced and turn like a top. So picture a rod right through the middle of their head, right through like the axis of the world, okay, and it's spinning. So you sit there and just turn. So the other thing too is have their feet make a line in the sand, and then have their feet. And if they're stepping forward and they're leaning over it, or over their foot, they're leaning, right? Or they're stepping in the bucket. Again, look at their footprint. They can again self-correct themselves. So that'll help you. And again, that mirror will help as far as the swing. Where do they finish? Are they finishing high? You know, that means they're swooping at the ball. Okay, they're letting back go. Charlie Lau was a big hitting coach in the 70s, huge. Don Bagley, Wade Boggs, okay, they were huge on it. They were taught, let go of the bat. You know, there's give and take on that. Me, I like both hands on it. Albert Pujols.
And then I'll kind of demonstrate to Alicia, she'll catch a little bit, and then you can ask questions, obviously, and I'll show you some drills. Most of the time with pitching, like the younger girls, even up through like high school, middle school, anything like that, it's all about form. A lot of girls don't have the correct form, or if they do, it's like one or two things that are off that, is the reason why a pitch is going a certain way. I like to, as a pitching instructor, teach someone how to teach themselves. So I'll, be able to describe to you guys like a couple things, like if the ball's going inside, what's most likely happening, if the ball's going outside, what's most likely happening, so that when you see that, you can give like one or two, helpful hints so that someone, feel the difference, because a lot of times if a player can't really feel what they're doing wrong, you can't really, help them. So maybe just like throwing something like a bug in their ear, they'll be able to, recognize that a little bit easier. So pitching in general is about timing. I like to describe to people that like your legs and your upper body have two different roles, but essentially they have to work together at the same time. So kind of just to show you a little demonstration, when a pitcher throws, when a pitcher throws and like they're on the mound, if they're a righty, their right foot has to go in front and then their left foot's behind. The rule of pitching is that both feet have to be on the rubber at the same time. A lot of pitchers, what they'll tend to do is they think that they're getting more power by like stepping backwards, and it's an illegal pitch. So I always tell people to kind of ground themselves and plant into the mound so that they can push forward. Another good thing to do is like a drill, it's called like the sprinter stance. And basically you just literally have them like down like this and kind of just like run and show them that's like the movement that they're gonna get. So when they're in the pitcher stance, that's like the first like step. And essentially when they actually stride out, you know, they're out like this. So that's kind of a good, you know, introductory to our legs, that it's like that sprinter. There's also a drill too, that if you're on one leg and you go down, you can literally just like explode out of the mound from your right leg, so that they have to use just their right leg. Most pitchers, no matter what level they are, they don't use their legs correctly. Once they're, you know, old and like a certain age, it's kind of like teaching them how to walk again. It's, you know, a lot of pitchers will be out here on their front foot, so to get them to try to stay back is extremely hard. So it's kind of one of those things that you can work with a little bit, but it's, you know, just kind of tweaking it from there, because it's like breaking their whole motion down again. So that's one thing. And then another thing too is from the timing of it, when you explode out, your arms have to go out. Like the further you can get your hands out in front of you, the better we're gonna create this nice arm circle. Because ideally, like Jenny Finch, you know, one of the best pitchers in softball, the reason why she was so good is one, she's 6'2", but two, her arm, or 6'3", I don't even know her arm gets so big and creates this whip that it's coming in so hard in her stride. So like me being 5'6", if I get my arm and my arm circle, you know, big enough that I can essentially pitch as fast as someone who's 6 foot, that, you know, short changes their arm. And then I'll break down too, we'll go through like the snaps and all that stuff too. But this is just kind of, so when you land, you want to essentially be in this like wide open position, and then when you close, the timing all times up. Most pitchers and coaches, especially, no offense to them, but baseball coaches, because a baseball pitcher comes here and throws through and has to get their hip through, they assume that softball pitchers have to get their hip through. And we do, but it's in a different way. So when a pitcher throws, she has to make sure that her arm gets through, and then we drag behind, and then we pop open. A lot of pitchers, you'll notice, because when they watch someone else pitch, they see them facing forward, so all they do is this. They just stay forward. And the problem with that is that that's when the ball goes right, when your hip kind of bumps you out of the way. So that's another thing that, you know, just having a pitcher break down and say, get to your K. So this is the K position, where they pop open, we get our arm through. I always tell people, pretend there's a pole coming out of your right, you know, thigh, and that you're grabbing the pole, that's the snap, and then dragging it behind them. So that works a lot, like really well with young kids. That like I kind of break down where I'm like, okay, you're gonna explode out, you're just gonna step out straight, and you're gonna get nice and big, and then you're gonna snap. What a lot of them will do is they'll come through at the same time and hit their leg. So I always say, watch your hand, watch it come down, grab that pole, and then slide. Pitching, especially with young kids or any age, is really, really just like basic. Like slow it down, watch yourself in a mirror, make sure you're timing, it's all muscle memory. So we're gonna kind of go through the progressions. I'm gonna look over these questions too, so that we get them answered. So I'm not just rambling. So let's go like out here a little ways. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I always talk to pitchers about is like a power line. So if you're in a gym, I always tell people to kind of set up on a line is coming straight out of your feet. If you're inside like or outside on grass, you can literally from the middle of the mound just draw, you know, a dirt line. A lot of people, it was kind of funny when I was growing up, I always heard the power line, power line, power line. Then I went to University of Hartford and my coach like actually taught me how to use the power line correctly. And then I started drawing it in games, and it was like literally a cheat sheet where you can literally see where you're stepping, see why the ball went inside because you're stepping inside. So it's a really, really useful tool. I try to, on all my players now, I tell them at least draw something on the ground so that you can see where you're stepping and know where you're stepping. So that's another self-correct thing. It's instant feedback. So on the snap, I always tell people, be like 3 or 4 feet away from your catcher. A lot of kids are gonna wind up, and it's literally, you wanna be sideways because you wanna be, anything you do with the progressions, you wanna make it so you're landing as if you were gonna pitch. So a lot of kids will be like this or like this, and that's not realistic to like how you land. So I always tell them nice wide base, have a bend in your knees. And you want your arm to be in front of your body. So if you guys can see, like I have a slight tilt to my body, but I'm not like bent over. I'm just hinging at the waist, so I'm a little bit over and my shoulders are still, strong. So then from here, the snap is just right off the fingertips. So a lot of kids, when you see the ball, you're gonna grab this C straight across, so you have 4 seams working together. So when it goes and throws, I can see if my spin's correct on the way that I throw it. So in this first stage, I just tell people all you want to try to do is get that perfect spin. A lot of kids are going to try to throw it hard, but it's not about how hard you throw it, it's just about making sure you get that spin. Another thing that's been really, really effective with young kids or any age is the snap. A lot of people think that the snap is like some type of push or some type of great closing of a door or something, but I always tell kids that put the ball in your fingertips and just flip it up. Your thumb really has nothing to do with it. It's just for guidance. So a lot of kids are like, well, I'm snapping the ball, but they're curling their hand under and throwing it so it has no spin on it. So if you tell kids just to stand here, and it'll be amazing how many kids can do this, but you put a ball in their hand and they can't do that. So that's just repetition, over and over again. But then once you see I'm here, and it's pretty much the same, motion, and I'm following my power line. Another thing with kids is they don't get their hand tilted back. They'll be here. So if I were to go here, I only have my end snap. I tell them it's kind of like hitting. If you're gonna hit, you have to load up to go forward. Same thing with pitching. You want to be loaded up so you can come forward. The finish has been really kind of controversial, and well, not really. But there's different opinions about the finish. The finish is basically there for safety because your body's tense or it's whipping through, and if you just stop it here, there's more chances of injury going up through your bicep. I never ever finished when I grew up, so I always had crazy snap on my pitch, and I would always have pitchers tell me to finish. And realistically, if you can snap and just relax your hand after, you don't need to finish. But with girls that are younger, based on getting it to go straight, it's a good tool to say snap and finish with your elbow up. So that way they're trying to get the snap straight up. But if someone, snaps and kind of doesn't get all the way up there, but she still has the same basic, good snap, I wouldn't really harp on it too much because then they might start launching it instead of snapping it. So the next step, you want to go back a little bit, is the flaps, and that's same thing. I like to stress that how I talked about your lower body has its job and then your upper body has its basic thing. I like to try to not use our legs at all till we have to get full and get a little bit further back, because a lot of kids, they'll go in this phase and they'll start going like this, and they're so confused why their pitch is going all over the place and their timing's way off. So I tell them just eliminate your legs right away, and I'm just going to be here. I'm going to have a nice, going to be basically in a T position, have a nice bend to this back elbow. A lot of kids will be here, and they just push it, and they're just trying to throw it hard. Pitching actually is loose muscles or fast muscles, so you want this nice and loose, and it comes down, then it builds onto the snap, and then it comes up. So when this is bent back like this, you want to keep the fingertips back as far as they can, and then snap through. So it'll be... Same thing with this. I'm not trying to, kill my catcher. I'm not trying to throw it hard. I'm just trying to throw it to her glove every single time. But just being here and right there. Wow. So I have my hand back. I snap and come up. and my hips are out of my way. One thing you'll notice with kids is they'll bring their hands back, and I'll say, drop your hands straight down, and they'll be like, I don't know why it's going, to the right, and it's because when they come down, they have to do something to get around their hip, and it's, their snaps all off, and it's all, out of whack. So I always tell kids, keep your hands here, get that slight bend, and create that tunnel so you literally can just drop it straight down. Another thing kids are gonna do is they're gonna be here, and they're gonna pull back. So then they gotta pull back around. So I tell people just without a ball, just be here, drop it down. And they're gonna feel that nice and loose, and that's what they wanna do is that their arm's just gonna be loose, it's gonna snap down naturally, and then you just add a ball. And that's, psychologically that's the hardest thing to do. So the more you can do just doing this, the better. So go ahead and back up like 3 more feet. So this is kind of, a pitcher can do this, or they can choose, what phase they want to do next. They can step with this. I like to do it for my own personal safety. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go from here. So I like to do like straight up in like the L position. Same thing, make sure the ball is facing the back, because when it comes down, it's already in that position. Kids are going to be like this and confused why their ball's going all over the place, because they have to turn it, and it can get ugly. So they want to be back here, fingertips behind, same thing. And so when I come through, I'm not going to step, but I'll show you then stepping. So I'm just here. And so I try to tell kids you want to create that whip. So from here to here, you're controlled, and then you're whipping it at the bottom. I always tell people it's like whipping a towel. That's like how loose your arm basically wants to be. Yeah, there's drills too that you can do with literally just going like this with a towel and like getting them to be loose at the bottom. So I do this because I like to get my arm fully warm before I put my legs involved. And then with the step, it's the same thing. Use this power line. This one's big because these kids will start to turn. You want to tell them to stay sideways. A good thing of this is I always tell them to pretend that the right knee's kind of dropping into the ground, and then pulling up to your foot's pulling up to your calf. So it's almost like a dance move. Your weight's here, and it's shifting up. So big toe is kind of like rubbing up against the side of the ground. A lot of kids will drag with their toe. They have absolutely no push off, because if you can lift up your back foot, you're not going to have any weight in it. So it's kind of like the weight's on the ball of the foot, you're twisted and you're pulling in. So with this, I step, so my timing's here, and then I come through. So that's like where the timing comes through. When this starts to step, I start moving my upper body. So it's going to be... Like I came across my body instead of staying straight up, so I just pulled it. So then the next phase, what you can do is I like to do walkthroughs with them. Basically walkthroughs is just taking a couple steps and kind of getting your legs involved, getting a good push off, being loose, getting the timing. Go ahead, back up like 3 more steps. So when I go through, the walkthrough is usually like right, left, right. That's an aggressive push and flying through. Most kids are going to notice it's going to be really, really challenging for them to do this because it's just getting their whole body. But so this is something you can put in depending on the level, or you can kind of just let it go. But this is how like I get my leg involved. All right, guys. So then from there you want to go full on the mound. Like I said, you want to have that power line. If this was my mound, right foot's in front, left foot's in the back. The rule for like umpiring actual like softball rules is you have to always present the ball. So when you get onto the mound, you have to have it showing. So a lot of pitchers will go like this, and they'll get up to the mound and go, and that's illegal because they have to see the ball. Another thing too is that when it's in your glove and then it comes out, you have to go from there. You can't put it back into your glove. Is that correct? There's
You only get one touch.
only one touch in your glove. Yeah, it's so sometimes kids, the way like everyone has their routine, but sometimes kids, if they start thinking too much, they'll touch it again. So that's just one thing to be aware of. And then from just like whatever they want to do on the mound, different pitchers have different styles. I always encourage anything. Sometimes the weirdest styles are the most effective because it throws a batter off so much that they don't know what's going on. As long as the pitcher can get to her hip and explode out with her hands, then she really, can do whatever she wants. Some pitchers, they won't get full out here. They'll be here, and then their arm circles wrapping around their head. It's just short changes them, and they can't get any extensions off of it. So I'll show you a couple pitches, and then I'll show you like some drills that you guys can do for arm circles, and then we can ask any questions. Go ahead. So I always tell people that a lot of pitching is like building up momentum. So you'll see a couple of pitchers, they'll be like really fast here, and then they're like just like lobbing it in there. And I always tell people it's kind of like running a race. No matter how tired you are, you're going to sprint through the finish line. Same thing with pitching. You'd rather be slow in the beginning and explode through the end than be fast and fast or fast and slow. I always like to stress making sure we get into this load position so that we can explode off the mound. But that's kind of one thing. There's a chair drill that you can do. Literally, you put a chair behind someone. Oh. But we'll put, I'll show you a drill where you stick a chair behind them and they literally touch the chair and explode off of it. I'll show you the drill, the flamingo drill with the one leg, which is here. You get your load like you're doing a single leg squat and then you explode off. So I'd be here. Thank you. So that's one to get that right leg power. Another one is literally just putting a chair here and telling them to go down, touch the chair and explode. You'll notice a lot of kids won't be able to get all the way down because they'll get nervous that they're gonna touch it. But even if they get here, it's better than being standing all the way up. So we go down, touch, and explode. So that you get them feeling their legs moving in the right direction. Those are 2 leg drills. An arm circle drill is I always tell people, get on your right knee, put your left leg out. I always tell them to do 2 arm circles because the second arm circle is going to be the fastest. Most kids will not throw fully, like their speed. They'll have it nice and slow because they're worried about control. Most of the time if they just speed it up, they're going to be able to throw more accurate because he's not aiming it. So I'm going to do 2 arm circles. So the first arm circle is kind of slow. Then the second one, I'm going to speed it up. And most of the time, kids are going to be able to snap it correctly because of the momentum and just, they're down at their lowest point and they're not standing, so they feel like they can get a better snap. That's one. Another one you can do, this is a little bit more. Put your right leg behind. You actually start from the beginning and you can throw underneath your leg so that you can snap it, because a lot of kids, what they do is they push the ball instead of snapping it through. So hitting their leg and pulling up gets them to get the timing of the snap. Just make sure they don't hit themselves after you're low enough. So that's one that you guys can do. You guys have any questions so far? Technique, anything like that?
Well, you definitely would suggest always teaching from the end of the whole progression and rather teaching the whole thing in the beginning, right? Like how you showed us all the drills starting with just the release
Yeah, I would do the whole thing.
Go backwards.
Yep. It's kind of like throwing overhand. You wouldn't just go throw full overhand. You would do the snaps and kind of move back to warm up. As I've gotten older and more things have kind of come out, I know that a lot of colleges are going from like just being here and throwing, but college girls also don't really have technique problems. So they're kind of looking at these snaps and progressions as wasted pitches almost. Where at a younger kid, their technique, if they can't do it small, then there's no shot that it's going to be, correct from the mound. So that's kind of one reason why. Also, too, I mean, it's safety, but it's form too. They're really, really formed. Yeah.
When you push off the ground, does your back leg go in a straight line or does
It curves, but the way someone's leg comes through it doesn't have to be perfect. Like a lot of people talk about the S or the C, but as long as that they're just coming and dragging the leg and using it, then whatever shape it makes, it kind of does that on its own. No. The only thing it'll change is if it's completely different all the time, it probably means that they're turning it different. So if then their accuracy gets out of whack, it's probably because they're like bumping their arm out of the way. Any other questions? On the rubber? Sure. So when you're on the mound, I think the rubber is like 3 inches, 4 inches? 3 inches. 3 inches?
4, right.
So
4 by 24.
So your front foot, you're gonna notice that obviously on the cleats has the different types of cleats. I always tell people if you want to try to hook it onto the mound, a lot of kids just kind of rest on the surface and they don't get a good push. So I was telling them kind of hook something or find a comfortable footing position so you have the weight in the ball of your foot. And then from there, your back foot can literally just touch the mound. So if this is the back of the mound right here, it can just rest upon it. Some people, they might feel better with putting it on. I know from an umpire's perspective, most of the time if it's just resting here, that can be called illegal if it's a couple inches off. But as long as you have your foot an inch or so, a couple centimeters on the mound touching, then it's fine. Yeah, so a lot of problems that kids have is crow hopping. So crow hopping is when I'm here and I go to push off the mound, I actually lose contact with the ground. It's illegal to do that. You have to keep your back foot connected to the ground at all times. So when you're here, it's really getting that outward push and staying down. Different drills that some coaches have made kids pitch in socks because you're gonna feel it. I probably wouldn't really recommend that one. But you can put a piece of paper underneath the kid's foot and make them drag and make sure that the paper stays with them. That's probably the most effective one to use on the crow hop. But the left foot, what'll happen is kids will start to push backwards like this because they think they need to go back. That's where I would do the chair drill and the one-legged to have them feel that if they push down and get that forward push off, then they're not gonna. Everyone thinks that they get more power by going backwards. It's really hitting and pushing. Another good one to do when kids are just starting off, just to get that momentum, I tell them stand here, get your footing, and do the trust fall forward, be here, and then trust fall and do a couple steps. And then you can add the K to it. So they're here, trust fall, and then pop open. Most of the time what kids do is if they're throwing the ball all over the place, they're here and opening up too soon. What happens then is their legs start to go, and then their arms off time. The timing of the pitch is that forward motion here and then coming through. So that's kind of crucial in the beginning. Help people feel themselves kind of shoulders kind of going forward and their nose over their knee pushing forward. Any other questions? All right, one last thing too. We'll do some other drills too. Is the arm circle. It's actually funny that it's here. But I always tell people try to pretend there's a hula hoop on your side and you're following the hula hoop the whole way and really get into this forward push on the base of the hula hoop so you get full. One drill that you can do is put a wall, have a kid stand next to a wall. You don't have much space in between them. You have their hand down and you literally have them just do the arm circle. So if the wall was where you guys are standing, my pinky up against the wall the whole way until it gets to the top, starts to turn, and then it becomes my thumb. So that I'm locked in here and then can snap. So it's like pinky, 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 thumb, 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 snap. A lot of kids too, what I've been noticing lately is that when they bring their hand back, they bring it back with the ball showing. So they're like this. What happens then is I always tell them, like, take your hand up slow, and if you go like this, it gets uncomfortable really quickly. So they obviously are changing their hand over somewhere in this zone. And a lot of kids that have control issues are doing this because they either change it sometimes here, or they're changing it here, or it's like all over the place. So sometimes their pitch is good because it's changing wherever, you know, in the right position, and sometimes it's all over the place. And a lot of kids don't notice that. So I tell them to start with the hand facing the catcher. So when you go back, then it's like one of those like ship rides that you're on. You come back on the same way. So now I'm here, and it's just a half a turn. And that also speeds up their arm too, because kids aren't like here and then they're like, you know, putting, like a lot of kids when I ask them, like, do you feel like you're dragging your arm? And like 9 out of 10 times it's like, yeah, I do. And this speeds it up. What they will do though is they'll go back correctly and then they'll turn it. So that's something too that the wall drill, like even on your way back, keep your pinky connected the whole way. I've had, for an example, I had one girl who's been doing this for years and throws all over the place. Now she throws like this, and it's like night and day. And it's just a small little change like that. Where a couple other girls might struggle getting it there, but once they do, they can definitely feel the difference on, you know, when their hands going correctly. So the wall drill is something huge just at home. Just make sure they're here. And having that bent back here, because a lot of kids, you'll notice, because they're on the wall, they're like this. Have it here and snapping next to the hip. A little bit too about the snap, because it's very, it's like, I know, it's like one of the hardest things for kids to pick up, or just to really kind of any age level. You want to snap the ball in between like your right thigh, so it starts here and ends here. That's as fast as it is. A lot of people will get long with it, and they're trying to pull up. Just keeping the fingertips behind, it's literally like here, here. If a pitcher is throwing, you know, with really good snap, their forearm's gonna get tired. And you just like stretch that out. But a lot of pitchers will also feel that their fingertips are burning because it's coming through their fingertips, which is a good sign. Because you want it to come off your fingertips. The grip on the ball too, have it a little bit looser in your hand, not like, you know, like falling out. But if someone holds it too tight, that takes all of your muscles in your arm and tenses them up, and now it can't throw as hard. So you want a little bit of a space in between so that they can get that snap. That's the biggest thing that a lot of kids do is they tighten up, and then they're pushing, and then it's going all over the place. They're just loose, snapping. That's good for that double arm circle drill because it really keeps them loose. Even too, I tell kids that just stand here, do 3 arm circles. The first one's like slower, second one, and by the third one, after you go through your arms naturally like snapping, kind of looking through. Because that's one thing, kids don't throw like as fast as they can go. And obviously there's a point where they're going too fast or they're out of control, but if you can speed it up, they can add like 3 to 5, especially at this age, they can add 3 to 5 miles per hour on the ball. And that's like, you know, a big difference. So, any other questions? Yeah. Biggest thing I tell people is if someone can't throw like a fastball, they can't throw any other pitch. So the fastball is, you know, huge fundamentally. Yeah, I forgot it. So if I'm here and I come down, I'm going to explode off from the mound and push. As I push down, like forward, my hands get going forward. Then when I come up, I should land in this perfect K and then snap through. That's one good thing. I always tell people, do like your phases of pitching. You'll notice, like even today I had a girl, she's throwing and I'm like, stop in your like outward position. And when she's stopping, she's like this. So it's like not only just muscle and body control, it's also a mental thing because it's like, you know, if you can't stop slow, like who knows what's going on fast. Okay, so. thing too at this, like at kids are probably not going to get as much bend as I do. They probably won't even get a bend at all. But if you can tell them to try to put the weight through their front foot and get a good push off, the biggest thing is getting a good push off and getting those hips out of the way, and then being able to close them back up. Because that's like the main thing that kids stay straight, and then everything goes off to the right because their arms just getting bumped out of the way. Is that? Oh. Yeah, so that's like phases. One good thing when kids are any age, I always say, okay, do the first phase of pitching, which is your outward push. So you're here, push out. You stay straight, hips are forward, everything's going forward. You're looking straight down your hands. If you have balance in this position and you don't fall over, then that's a good thing. You'll notice some kids will jump out here and be like falling off. They're falling off slow, they're definitely falling off fast. So then I say go to phase 2. So we build onto it. So we go phase 1. Yep.
So that's kind of like what I meant, like because we're working with some novice pitchers.
Okay.
Would you just focus on this, on the backward progression first before you start looking at the first phase to the second phase to the third phase? Or
I
do you
would
think
do.
It's kind of important to do simultaneously.
A lot of pitching is just doing it and like almost failing first and then kind of like reeling it in. I would definitely start with the snaps and the flaps and kind of go back. And before you get to the full motion, I would do this kind of slow and show them how it's supposed to look. Because, I mean, you guys probably know if you ask someone to pitch, they're kind of like, it looks like they're like bad dancing. It's like, you know, I don't know how it goes. But so when you're here, you push off. Then I go into phase 2. So I tell them it's kind of like you're a little puppet with strings on you. As this right hand comes up over your head, because a lot of kids will swing it over, when it comes up over near your ear, that's when this back foot starts to turn and your hips open up. So you're here, and then you open. And then from there, that's when the snap happens. Tell them to look at their hand, have the hand come down, grab that pole, and drag it. Because psychologically what happens is they say, okay, move your hand and your leg, and they're like this, and this ultimately is going to move faster because it's got a shorter distance and it's stronger than my arm trying to like whip down. So I always tell them, watch this, then pull through, and then get a little bit faster. Get that timing. It's almost like bang, bang. It's hand, then leg. One other thing too I always tell pitchers is like the arm circle. I always say if you were to put your arm out straight in front of you, and I were to say, okay, let your arm go loose, it drops back down to the front. If I go up, it drops down. If it's back here, it drops down, and that's like the perfect drop, like it's a natural drop. So I always tell people it's like controlled, 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 and then it's like a natural drop and it whips through. Because if you can get a pitcher to get natural here and almost like whip that through as opposed to pushing it, she'll be able to pick up miles on her pitch because it's a natural, my muscles aren't tense, and I'm just here behind it snapping through. So, yeah, that's a couple of things. I'm trying to think of any mistakes that I see early on. A lot of mistakes are just the arm coming up over the head. The one reason why they do that is because when they come around, their arm's probably coming down on an angle like this, which is a way to pitch. It's called the whip finish, which I won't really get into, but they come around and snap. A lot of people are going to that type of pitching because you can get a little bit more speed, or it's a little bit safer on some of your joints and like muscles. But at a young age, a kid starts whipping and she's like arms like up over her head like this because she's trying to get in that position. Whereas if you just tell them to get straight and turn it, there's no way I can physically put my hand, bend my arm like this. So I tell them to try to get the ball to the back of the gym and then snap through. It's going to be easier for them because they're in that natural like snap down as opposed to kind of whipping it through. Any other questions? Good?
Brian's got about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just wants to go over some rules for you guys, pre-game stuff. Also, I know Coach went over it a little bit, but pitching stuff to be wary of just so that we don't get called for violations.
The rubber things. We're thinking we're gonna hear, not, we're thinking we're gonna hear a lot of illegal pitch. Not from her, just from.
Well, my question is kind of like,
Been a softball official. This will be my 14th season on the North Central Connecticut Board of Officials out of the Hartford area. I'm going to talk to you mainly about pregame, what should happen when umpires arrive or prior to them arriving at the field for your games, and a little bit about illegal pitching if you have any questions on that. Okay? So what you should expect is using 2 umpires or 1?
if we can get 2, I've heard sometimes they send 1 though.
Okay. So 2 officials coming to your game, you should expect them to arrive together at least 15 minutes prior to your game. Prior to that, whoever's the home team, if the visitor shows up a little bit late, it's not a bad thing for you to get out and do your 10-minute warm-up. Say you pull up and you see the bus shows up, get out, do your 10 minutes first, get that done, then the other team can do their 10 minutes and be ready to go. You're going to have about a 3-4 minute pregame meeting with the officials, talk about ground rules, that sort of thing. But what they're going to do is when they arrive, you're going to check all your gear. They have to check all your bats and all your helmets. So the first thing you should do is make sure you get all that out. Some of the girls have their own stuff. You're going to have your team equipment. All the bats and all the helmets have to be checked prior to every game. On the bat, there's a logo. No, it's on here. Better.
What logo should be on the bat?
Gotta say that on that. That little phone plate, okay? It also can say 2000 on it too, which is legal. You have a meeting every 4 years, they approve equipment, that sort of thing. So it's gotta have that logo, every bat will be checked. You can't have anything, they'll shake the bat too. Wiggle it around. If there's pieces bouncing around the bat, that's gonna be illegal. Could be dangerous, the bat can come apart. Just take that out. On the back of the helmet, a little logo on the back, lost into the back of the helmet. And it's a Noxie logo, N-O-C-S-A. I actually looked it up last night for the first time in 25 years. And it means National Operating Committee on Standards for Athletic Equipment. Noxie's a lot easier. There used to be a logo, a label that you stick on a helmet, and they would wear off. Now the helmet's illegal. So now when they pour it into the mold, it's embossed right into the helmet. That has to be on every helmet, including the catcher's helmet. So when they arrive, traditionally what they will do is they go to the home team dugout. If the home team's on the field, they're going to go to the visitor dugout. Introduce themselves. They should check all the gear in that dugout together. Not one and one, together. Then move to the other dugout, working as a team, and check the other team's dugout. They should take a look at the field, check the ground rules, talk to the home team and say, are there any special rules we need to know about your field? Is there a temporary fence here? What are the out of bounds here? Do we have a tree hanging over, that sort of thing. You need to know what the ground rules are on your home fields. Share that with the officials. Pre-game meeting should last about 2 minutes. They should introduce themselves, captains say hello, discuss things like they should say, no jewelry. I'm going to say it again, no jewelry. Usually the third time, I get very accurate. Jewelry is illegal. You cannot wear jewelry. No plastic, no metal, no rubber, no headbands, which they love to do, right? They'll have 2 or 3 around the wrist. Can't wear it. It's a safety issue, yes.
What about a headband such as this?
Plastic.
It's plastic, it's bent.
It's kind of flexible. Headband's okay. But if you have like the Lance Armstrong bracelet around your wrist, that's coming off. Okay?
What about maybe these rubber, like nose piercing?
No. You can go in after you take the jewelry off. No, it's still considered jewelry. Earring. If you weren't born with it, it's not legal equipment. That's what we tell people. If you you weren't born with it and it's not legal, you can't wear it. Because people say, well, what about, a sweatband on the back? That's legal. But Lance Armstrong, Livestrong is illegal. It's just what they have to deal with. And please tell your girls, don't get a piercing during the season. Oh, I can't take it out, blah, blah, blah. Sorry. And our official opinion on that is, I'm not going to tell you have to take it out, but you can't play with it in. Okay? Cannot play with jewelry in. Can't tape it. What? Yes?
Could you put a Band-Aid?
No. No Band-Aids, no duct tape. You can fix almost anything with duct tape. So, cannot wear jewelry. Pre-game should go. Everyone's properly equipped, properly dressed. Ladies, no jewelry. Please take it off. If you're wearing any napkins, make sure teammates don't have any on you. The lineups should be exchanged. Make sure your lineups include mainly last name. Don't put Susie, Jenny, Susie, Linda, Susie. Now you get 3 Susies in the lineup. You don't know who she is. Last name, first initial, position, and number. Substitutes, I should have brought one and I apologize. I had one in the car, but it's really hard to read. It was like the 4th copy I got yesterday. It says lineup and then substitutes over here. That's where I'm going to do my homework on the right side. You write your substitutes who are not in the game at the bottom, below your lineup. That way, when you want to put 10 in a game for 5, she's not already written in next to 3. Put them down the bottom of the lineup. You'll check that lineup. You'll ask both officials, both coaches, anyone want to make a change? They should ask them. These are now official. Okay? You can add a player to the lineup after the game is started. Say your JV team is playing on the other field. Somebody gets hurt in the body. You can bring another player in. If someone was at a doctor's appointment and shows up late, you can add them to the lineup. It will cost you a warning. No one ever does it. I didn't say that.
I heard it.
Turn that on. It's supposed to cost you a warning, but you can add a player to the lineup after the game has begun. Okay? If you put the wrong number down, you're number 10, you're number 11. It got mixed up. As long as you're the right person who comes up in the lineup, it's not batting out of order. You just fix it. The official should just fix it. It's a clerical error, and should just move on. Of course, if you did bat in a spot, now it's batting out of order. That's another story. Those are the basic things they should ask you. Home team takes the field, and that should start the game. You may ask, does anyone have any questions? The visitor may have a question about the home team's field, that sort of thing. But it shouldn't take forever. It should take less time than I just took to do the pregame, okay? Especially late in the season, that sort of thing. Do you have any questions right now? No? Okay. And the game should begin. Umpires say play ball. Now, as far as the legal pitch goes, the most common ones are the crow hop, like Sierra said, right? You must keep the back foot dragging on the ground. Eventually, you're going to get a rut in the ground. There's going to be a hole in the dirt, unless you're playing on AstroTurf, which we're not playing in Central, right? So, eventually there'll be a rut. If he sees that foot in the rut, technically she's not touching the ground. Her foot's below the ground. That's not illegal. You got to keep the foot down on the ground. Other things, mainly the hands, what you see a lot. They like to have the hands together, they'll step on, they'll go like this, then they'll bring the hands together again. You can't touch twice. One thing you should emphasize, start with the hands apart before you step onto the rubber. Okay? Hands apart, there's the rubber. Step on, bring it on, and then pitch, okay? You only get the one touch. Bring your hands together one time. If they're wearing a face mask, they want to adjust it. You got to scratch their head. If you want to fly, step off. Just step off the rubber. When you're off, you can do anything you want. They like to flip the ball. You cannot step on and do this. That's illegal. You want to flip the ball, which I do. Discourage completely. You want to flip the ball. Pull it off the rubber. Do anything you want, but standing off the pitcher's plate. Don't do it. What? Question? Don't do it on the pitch.
Everything they can do off the rubber as soon as they step on
Take
the
care of all that important stuff. And again, you can step up, when you step off, you can step off with either foot. And one thing I wanted to clarify for Sierra, she's a college pitcher. She pitched in college. It is illegal to not have both feet on. In high school, you can still take a step back. Travel ball, college, basically everywhere but high school, you cannot. You must have both feet on the rubber, on the pitcher's plate. In high school, they can take the one. The hands are here. As long as they take the step as they're bringing their hands together, they can step back. Which officials have been trying to change for a long time, but it's still legal.
At what point can't they step off the rubber?
After the hands come together. If they're here, they go like this, now they cannot step back.
No, I mean like what if she does realize she has to adjust something? She put her hands together. Can she then
Put her
step
hands
off,
together,
or is that?
step off, and then take your hands off.
Okay.
Okay? Don't do this, bring your hands together. Now you want to get off?
Yeah.
Don't do this, and
Okay.
then do it before you take your hands apart.
Put your hands together, step off. How about with the rotation? Like, is there rules about certain rotations? Like, does the girl have to come back and all the way around?
Does not have to.
So
She cannot take more than 1.5 rotations.
Right. She can just pull back and pitch.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They can do this. They can just go. Why am I having a hard time?
There you go.
They can just. Okay. Yeah, they don't have to do the window. They do not have to do the window. And there is no illegal arc, unfortunately, in girls' fast softball. They can throw it as high as they want. Like men's slow pitch, they drop it in. That technically is legal. Which. Any questions? Anything else? Oh, we did that. We did the helmet. Nothing else? Yes.
Do they have to wear the cage on the
They must have a cage on the helmet. Yes. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. The cage has that oxy certification on it. And that one, it's right on the side. It should be in Boston for the metal.
Yeah, you have to wear the cage.
They should
Do you
check
have to
for
have
that.
a chin strap?
The chin strap is optional. In high school, you do not have to wear a chin strap. It has to be firmly connected to the helmet. They need to leave the helmet. This is my suggestion. I don't think it's a rule. They should never take the helmet off till they're in the dugout. A lot of them, like, they're out at first base. First thing they want to do is take it off and helmet it in their hand and get in the dugout. You don't know what's going to happen. A wild throw, the pitcher misses it, and now she's getting the ball in the head. The only protection a batter or a batter runner has is a helmet. A player on the field, a lot of them wear a mask, which protects them for a line drive, but they also have a glove. The catcher has a lot more stuff. I'm going to have a lot more stuff. But the only protection that runner has is the helmet, and it should be on until they reach the dugout. Yes.
What happens on an illegal pitch?
You get a ball to the batter, and a base to every runner on the bases. Ball to the batter, and a base to every runner.
And also
So it's a pretty severe penalty.
but you can take the hit too, right?
Correct.
So if there's an illegal
pitch. No. The defense can take the result of the play. Because if they go illegal, it's a live ball call. The umpire will say illegal. The pitch is thrown. If the batter hits it and they turn double play, they can take the double play. Versus, no, that's wrong. I'm sorry, that's wrong. That's the other way. That's on us. You had to ask me.
I know. I told him I was like, I'm gonna stump him on this one.
No, the defense is the one causing the illegal pitch. So it's the offense that gets the result. So they call it illegal pitch, and the girl hits. She may get out, but a run scores from third. Now the offensive coach has a choice. Do I want that run to score and she's out? Or do I want a ball to my batter, have her come back, and everybody moves up a base? Well, on that one, she can still take the ball at base. third, but say she's on second. Say the girl hits a single, that's the other thing. On the illegal pitch, if every battle runner reaches base, it's nullified. So everybody on base reaches base safely. The illegal pitch is nullified. Had that backwards. Had to ask me. Yes. The offense has choice on the illegal pitch. The result of the play, base and ball. Base every runner, the ball for the back. And again, if everybody advances one base, nullified.